So that is everything I have for you this afternoon. So I am going to open it up and see if there are any questions. If you are here and you have a question that you want to throw in the chat, Kevin is taking that on. But if not, please do feel free to reach out anytime, blam@oneberkshire.com, and we'd be happy to work with you however we can. Kevin, do I have anyone with any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. However, before we get to that, Deborah from E4All did want us to know that the next accelerator deadline is August, and the digital business survival course is due in the fall. So those are the kind of benchmarks for that. A couple of questions here. First, is there an effective way to try and engage foot traffic in downtown North Adams when there seems to be little at the moment? Are there any specific efforts to increase the numbers of people to move off of the MassMocha campus onto Main Street?
Great question. It's telling me that my internet is weak again. So if this doesn't come through, Kathy, please feel free to reach out to me directly and we can connect again. But the foot traffic metric is always one that's kind of hard to capture. And we've run into this ourselves. We're trying to do it from a regional perspective of actually capturing how many people are in the Berkshires. We can get some basic information on kind of like what's the tax revenue that communities are getting based on hospitality and tourism, but it's hard to actually capture the number of bodies. The best bet in any community is actually looking at your local chamber and working with them as well as businesses that are in proximity to where you're looking at operating. So, you know, in North Adams in particular, I would talk to folks on Eagle Street, and I would talk to folks like Keith Bona at Berkshire Emporium and get a sense on what they're seeing, because most of their business is coming in the form of foot traffic, I would suspect. Especially, you know, there's not a huge, you know, you see a lot of parking spots open, so you would think that there's a lot of if people are going places and they're walking around. So that's kind of like getting it in the local market. You may find that in a local chamber, whether it's, you know, the Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce, or it's a Williamstown Chamber or North Adams Chamber, or there's six, and I'm going to forget one, so I don't want to ramble them all off, but a lot of times they've had these conversations amongst their ranks, and it's worth kind of tapping into that as another resource. In some cases, that may require a membership to be a part of their organization to get that information. But a lot of times they're just interested in helping business succeed. So they may provide that without any expectation of remuneration. In terms of the folks from MassMocha getting into downtown, there's been a number of efforts in the last few years. There was an effort called the North Adams Exchange that launched about 4 years ago. And that actually resulted in the creation of two actual businesses of sorts in downtown that operated for a season. One was Game On, which was an indoor recreation space that was free to use for the community. And one was 87 Pop, which was a pop-up retail space that sold goods made and provided by local creators, crafters, businesses, but brought them all in the one empty storefront for the duration of the summer. And there was the funding was used to pay for staff to operate those operations. Other phases of that have happened as well. We've seen displays put in empty storefronts, and that again being supported through the North Adams Exchange, which is a Mocha City collaborative. But there's also the guide that MassMocha has produced the last few years, which is actually meant to be a way to get circulation of people to go and see the artwork that is around the city. And so there's a map involved in that. I forget what it's actually called, but they do publish that and put it out there, and it's provided to visitors to MassMocha. There's also that visitors booth that's right outside the main gate of MassMocha that when I'm not sure if it's happening this summer, but they have actually had that staffed with someone that helps to push people out. So when folks are wondering what restaurants to check out or what businesses might be of interest, they have the answer. So they're kind of meant to be sort of the in-house tourist booth to help get people into the actual community. And so there has certainly been efforts, and they continue to evolve and change. And I know that many of the businesses that have relationships with the larger institutions in many communities are working in similar ways to hopefully leverage that massive crowd of people that visit one spot and try to push them into the many small businesses that exist in a community.
Great, thank you, Ben. And another question that we have here that you touched on a bit is can we access the actual data or get stats on the new markets? For example, how do you measure an increase in people seeking authentic items and experiences?
So that particular item that you're saying about the authentic items and experiences, that is an anecdotal number. That's not one that we've got a quantitative metric for. We do have some limited data. Again, that's not ready for prime time yet. It's through a survey that we just finished conducting recently that I, eventually can give some broad metrics on once we've sussed that out fully. But in terms of some of this stuff, there's just not a great way of capturing it. And so what I would say is that, when we are sharing, kind of the anecdotal qualitative pieces, this is from the conversations that we have with dozens of businesses. This is, and we literally are having either via email or verbally conversations with all these folks that are giving us this feedback. And so we're using that feedback as being data. And again, they're not giving us, we don't necessarily have hard numbers, nor would I venture to say that any hard numbers that are captured would be completely accurate. Anyway, I mean, we run into this problem when we talk about hospitality numbers and how do we actually track that. And being only tax dollars, that doesn't capture everyone that's visiting, going to a rail trail or going kayaking, right? So it's hard to get true hard, fast numbers there. But as the results from that survey do sort of get more cleaned up and ready for distribution, those will be available for folks to tap into. Certainly more on a one-on-one basis.
Okay, Ben, I show no other questions at this time.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining and spending your lunch hour with us. Please stay tuned for future sessions as they come up. We have 3 more that'll be happening over the course of June and July. And we look forward to seeing many, if not all of you, there again. Have a great day, everyone.